Good evening. Thank you very much for tuning in to my channel. I do appreciate it. Maybe you can tell by my voice, it's that time of year. I've got a bit of a cold. Well, this video is like a memorandum to myself, so I can refresh myself as to the experiment I performed. So, not at all am I an expert. If you're watching, you are going through the learning process with me. So thank you. I'll try and explain what I've done here. First of all, I had some of these LCD 1602 screens at home, and I really wanted to use them and try them out. And I've used them before, and they really are messy when you put them together. There's a lot of wires, and without going into detail, using these LCD screens requires a great deal of setup and soldering. So there's some experimentation that I really want to try relating to I2C and Arduinos and using the LCD screens. So I thought the first step would be for me to create some really nice kit boxes and enclosures for my LCD screens. And I hardwired them. I hardwired the wires onto the LCD displays. So this first video clip just shows my successful attempt at using a very simple Arduino sketch on an Arduino Nano to print out to an LCD screen. And thankfully it was successful. Having hooked up this simple sketch just proved to me that the Nano is working fine and my LCD wiring is correct. As source material, I relied on DroneBot Workshop's videos on LCD screens and I2C. And if you're looking for better explanation videos, those videos are far better than my own. Well, anyway, that just shows that I got the Nano working correctly with this LCD screen. What I wanted to do was combine a very simple sketch, or rather a simple experiment, where two Arduinos are communicating with each other, and rather than having them print to the serial monitor, I simply wanted the slave device to print to the LCD screen instead. I will be the first one to admit my C++ programming skills are very amateur, but the essence of what I did in this video is I took the Hello World liquid crystal display sketch, and I borrowed the code and I copied and pasted what I thought was critical from the Hello World liquid crystal display sketch, and I pasted it into the I2C slave reader sketch. And although not perfectly, this experiment was a success because I loaded up an Arduino with a master writer sketch, which is provided in the Arduino software, and I loaded up this Arduino Nano with a slave reader sketch. I hope I have that correct. Once again, the Arduino Uno got a master writer sketch, and the Arduino Nano that I have got a slave reader sketch. Well, I hope I got that right. And again, the slave reader is not printing to the serial monitor, it's printing to the LCD screen. Now, on the screen, here is the modified sketch that I created. It's the slave reader sketch, and I just substituted in the liquid crystal display hello world commands into this sketch. And surprisingly, it worked. It wasn't perfect because if you know anything about the LCD screens, there's a few quirks with these 1602 LCD screens. First of all, the second line is the first and the first line is the second, so you have to specify which line you're writing to. And then I think each line has a limit of, don't quote me, I think I'm probably wrong, but like 40 characters? Maybe it's a different number. So what ends up happening is, as the slave device, which in my case is the Nano, receives written information from the master, then what ends up showing up on the LCD screen is basically cut off, because there's a limit to how many characters can be displayed on each line. But I'm not too worried. In fact, I'm thankful, because here I have two Arduinos successfully communicating through I2C, and it's successfully being displayed on the LCD screen of the slave device. And I can work on that. The wiring between both Arduinos was not difficult at all. You just have to tie in the ground of one Arduino to another. And in my case, I just gave the power supply from my benchtop power supply. I just hooked up the power supply to both Arduinos. And then I hooked up the SCL and SDA lines from the Uno up to the Arduino Nano. The Arduino Nano does not have specific dedicated pins for SDA and SCL, so I hooked those up to analog pins 4 and 5. Now, with regard to the LCD screen, it's interesting to note that the LCD screen is also set up as a slave device and can have its own separate slave address. Offhand, I don't know what that is, but there are simple sketches to determine what slave address the LCD screen is. But I just like to point out that the LCD screen is not actually hooked up to the I2C bus. There is a separate little module which you can purchase, which is very cheap, that will allow you to limit the number of wires hooked up to an LCD screen so that you can use the LCD screen as a slave device from an Arduino. But in fact, that's not what I've done here. Well, anyway, thank you for watching, and have a good day. Take care.